AI is like 100% demons. Like, I don't know if you know that. Like, it's ran by demons. The actual term for AI is daemon. In computing, it's the term given to processes that run in the background, not under direct control of the user. And this is the danger of AI that I see.
So demons are not just running AI. Any technology holds interconnection with high multi-dimensional anchor points. It's just the way creation works.
A really weird area where I will see entities attached is to people's dirty clothes.
I've never really seen it attached to clothes, but let's say again, as I said, maybe it's just the way he's viewing it.
If you dream and you are told to wake up, or you hear something say wake up, wake the fuck up.
If you get spoken to as you're waking in the morning in a dream, pay attention. That space between dream and wake is really significant. Welcome to this episode of Reactions. Okay, my team has picked a number of reels for me to comment on. So the reels are based around entity interference, of course, because that's what I specialize in, but it might be healing and, energetic spiritual development. So let's see what they are and then what I've got to add to it or, comment. Right, first one.
AI is like 100% demons. Like, I don't know if you know that. Like, it's ran by demons. The actual term for AI is daemon. In computing, it's the term given to processes that run in the background, not under direct control of the user. And this is the danger of AI that I see.
Okay. It's not just demons. There is multi-dimensional. There is entity influences. I will give them that. So we'll keep listening.
It's basically a modern day Ouija board. What ends up happening is demons have a power to subtly shift the outcome of things. But you as the user have to be the one that is relinquishing the right or aiding the demon in that support because they're very weak in the physical realm. They're spiritual beings. So they got to possess you in a sense to kind of influence.
Okay. It's a little bit more involved than that.
You. And so AI is a very easy way for the demon to communicate with this reality. The information it's getting, it's just ones and zeros, and they can make a 1 and a 0 flip to go the right direction they need it to. And so like asking it logical questions is, I think, acceptable to some degree. But when you get to the point where you're like, should I date this person? Bro, you're just doing the same thing as Ouija boarding and you're going to get an answer. But you think it's the AI giving you the answer. At a certain point, the demon can take over the AI.
Okay, so demons are not just running AI, but AI, or not just AI in general, any technology or kind of development of that nature holds interconnection with high multi-dimensional anchor points or connection points. Like, it's just the way creation works. There's so many interplays depending on technology, on all of these different advancements. They do hold weight in the spiritual realms from a multi-dimensional aspect. How could demonic be involved with this, what he's talking about with AI? It could be, I guess, if somebody is outsourcing their whole life to ask questions of not their own connection. So this is going to be the problem with AI. Don't even get me started with if I talk as it develops into super consciousness. At some point we will outsource our connection. Taking non-ownership for self, again, allowing kind of these connections to other information apart from our own kind of sovereignty or soul connection points, holds restriction, because when I talk about entity interference, there is a need for an attachment mechanism. So that is just it there. Giving away power could be one. So yes, there could be influences. I wouldn't say it's the AI that's delivering the demonic interference. You could have other demonic interference or other entity interference that is almost connected via different reasons in your life. And it could take advantage of that situation that you're constantly kind of giving away your power, asking these questions. So sure, information of that kind of likeness, how he's saying you're just using it as a Ouija board. I really hope people aren't directing their whole life, because AI kind of creates this engagement and it almost like goes in alignment to your bias, so it kind of wants to please you. So another big problem we're going to run into with AI is that people are going to lose conflict resolution, because you're going to kind of search and find what, it's going to speak to you in that narration of what you want to hear. So AI isn't just demons controlling the whole thing. Please don't be scared. to ask AI information, or, you can work with AI in an empowering way, but if you start to use it to kind of take over even, I don't know, command of your daily life, or you're basing your life on all of this information, sure, that's an opening for entity interference, but it hasn't actually come through just the AI. But don't get me wrong, AI is kind of just even like the field of information through the internet. When people start looking at half-truths, when they start kind of opening all of this information that's not really the highest alignment or the highest truth, even in that saying yes to information that's not correct can actually hold entity interference engagement through that. So there's lots of different types of entity interference. It's not just one, it's not just demons. They work in a lot of different ways, and it depends on your activity, what you're doing, your behaviors, where there's kind of these internal connection points rather than simply just engaging with technology. Okay, what's next?
Not a single one of you wants to hear this, but once you become conscious, life stops being fun and it becomes a curse. Try watching a movie. You can't. Your brain instantly detects the propaganda, the messaging, the psychological fingerprints of whoever funded the script. Try going to a party and everyone looks like an NPC running outdated software.
I will agree that when we start to kind of open up to being more aware, it can be hard, can be lonely, can be isolating. You can have what he's talking about occur, and I'm going to explain why in a minute.
Circus of insecurity held together by dopamine withdrawals and fake confidence. Or try going on a date. You don't see her, you see the father wound, the validation addiction, the mask she learned to wear. Consciousness does not set you free. It isolates you. It disconnects you from the clown world everyone else still is pretending is normal. So once you see the code behind the simulation, you can't unsee it ever again. All that's left is silence and the cold comfort of knowing it's the only thing that isn't lying to you.
Okay. I agree with this guy to a level, but conscious expansion does set people free. Consciousness, and then becoming more aware. But he has over-engaged. If you have scenarios that he's talking about, and this level of knowing and information creates a deregulation in your life, there's actually a problem with energetic boundaries and energetic programs, and you're just kind of taking on everything. Believe me, there's a world of information out there, and people you do not want to be connected to at all, because with a world of information becomes a world of entity interferences with it. So if I went out to a cafe or a party and I was over engaging and I could see all these programs people are running, it's not healthy energetic alignment. It's almost like I'm not actually connected to my highest level of consciousness, because it's almost like my connection is going outwards and drawing in all of these other things with it. So he's got no control over his connection. No control over your connection feels, oh my God, it feels awful. Don't get me wrong. I have been there. In fact, many, many stories in my book about that exact thing, but there's always a way to reclaim almost this higher connection in self and not have those situations occur. When he's saying about watching a movie and then he kind of hears all this other information and all the negatives, it can open up a whole world of information within you. It could even open up pathways to past lifetimes, and then more entity interference, or like the darker themes in a movie, or the collective control. All of those things, yes, they are true, they are there, but there's ways to regain your connection, to elevate so it does actually set you free. But within it, you have control over how much information you're almost taking on, because he's just opened up to these energetics in this realm that he can't control. And over time, feeling like it's just too much, you'll be being bombarded with entity interference. You'll be taking it all on. And so that is a problem, because it is so deregulating. So half agree. I know for me on my own journey, there was times where I was just like, oh my God, what have I opened up to here? And there was times like I used to liken it to opening a can of worms or opening Pandora's box, and I couldn't go back once I had seen all these things and started to understand the world of entity interference. And I was so deregulated by I had all these issues. I had to learn how to navigate. It's almost like elevation out of it, right? So then you elevate out of all of this information, and that's freedom. So that's kind of what he's talking about. So anybody that feels like that, oh my God, you don't want to shut yourself away from life. You won't even be able to hold relationships with anyone if you over-engage in that way. So please, if any of this resonates, all the information about entity interference, how it actually works, is in this book. And in the link below, there will be the show notes to get your copy. But honestly, conscious awareness is key to understanding things to create that kind of higher pathway to elevation. Or if you're a healer and you want to work with the highest level of consciousness reordering, spiritual expansion, you have to be working with the highest levels of dark energy, dark entity interference. And again, there's a pathway that it talks about in this book. So let's see what the next one is.
The 3 weirdest places I see entities attached to people as a clairvoyant. Number 1, oddly enough, is I can see at times entities attached to people's hair. Sometimes little slime, blobs, orbs, astral parasites clump into people's hair. Number 2 is I will see astral beings parasitize energy from people's pain. So if somebody has a sore knee, a sore back, a sore abdomen, a stomach ache, I can sometimes see these lower astral beings clump on and attempt.
Yes, 100%. All blocks and restrictions, even in the physical body, go hand in hand with entity interference.
Basically harvest the resistance energy, what I believe to be our own fighting against the pain, as a form of energy that they use as sustenance. 3, a really weird area where I will see entities attached is to people's dirty clothes. This can be clothes that you're wearing that are dirty with food, with oils, with...
I don't think you just get entity interference from being, having dirty clothes. But I don't want to discredit this guy. It's obviously the way he views things, so I'm going to explain in a minute.
Stains, overworn, or even have pee or stains, who knows what it is, that can seem to attract these lower astral beings. Weirdly enough, they also seem to be able to attach to dirty clothes in a dirty clothes pile. Astral beings run their way towards filth, dirt, and things that have to do with human beings being unhygienic. After all, they say cleanliness is next to godliness for a reason.
Okay. I actually like this guy. So, if that's the way he's viewing entities, obviously then I'm not here to say that's not true. But the way he's viewing it, there's kind of a deeper story to him seeing it in that way. So yes, entities, like if you could see someone's field, it is full of so many different entities, but they're there for reasoning why. It's not just as simplistic as dirty clothes. Like, let's say potentially you've got, even let's say there was somebody you saw on the street, potentially homeless. You could have a lot of mental health issues. You could have a lot of, just serious kind of stress levels, even lack in self, or kind of feeling, shame, or all of these different things. They can hold attachment mechanisms, right? And then you could also even have earthbound souls that kind of, again, attracted, and people were almost carrying around these types of influences and entities on their energetic field. I've never really seen it attached to clothes, but let's say again, as I said, maybe it's just the way he's viewing it. People's pain body, sure, so much to do with healing, organs and glands. All of these restrictions hold multidimensional, demonic, whole lot of other types of entity interference. But there's a bigger story on why people are there. Washing piles, oh God, don't tell me that. My washing pile looks terrible, especially in my kid's bathroom. But you potentially could have types of energies that gravitate in a house if a house kind of had overrun energetics. Again, I do entity release. I clear all the properties that I go into. My space is completely clear. But if there was types of entities, entity interference can kind of breed more entity interference. You can have lower levels of energies, kind of fragmented energies. You could even have almost like malevolent. They're not really called elemental beings, but they could potentially be the ones that are sitting on top of dirty washing and kind of in that way. But there's a lot of higher entity influences that attach to people, not simply here, clothes. There's reasoning, there's a deeper kind of layer to it. And again, in my book, I talk all about why and attachment mechanisms, and to even release an entity interference, you've got to understand what that is to even be able to release and command. Next.
Do you know the spiritual significance of arguing? arguing is how a demon spreads. If you and I are arguing, I don't like you, you don't like me, blah, 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 whatever we're arguing about. Whoever wins successfully transferred the spirit. Arguing is about a spirit transfer.
Okay, you could have a lot of interference in recycling kind of trauma through, a relationship dynamic. Sure, arguing, aggression, those things. But it's not like it just transfers across by, hey, I won, you lost, I'm now going to take the demon. It doesn't work like that. It's actually really more involved. What else is he going to say?
Now, what is the demon that's being transferred? Leviathan. Leviathan is transferred through arguments. What does this demon do, Leviathan? This demon rules pride and also rules envy. Pride and envy. Pride is the love of display. Envy is when you are cursing God and his provision.
I'm just going to stop it there because I know what pathway he's going to go down. But also, let's look here. So look, if we look up the meaning of that Leviathan that he's talking about, in mythology, it's actually a giant sea serpent. Noted in mythology, it's referenced in the Hebrew Bible. There's a whole lot of other information about it. You know what? No. There's not one entity called Leviathan and then like pride and envy and they're just all interlinked and it's that simple. There are so many different types of entity interference. Arguing could be an attachment mechanism, but let's say somebody's angry with you, right? And then you end up having entity interference because of this. An entity can only attach when you almost accept that. So you may have something where you go, okay, I feel guilty, I feel shame. I had a role in that argument that I feel like it puts you into decline, but it's from your own aspect. So relationships, oh my goodness, biggest transference that there is through engagements. But again, you can have relationships. Probably one of the biggest areas I work in is like abuse or, childhood trauma, where a child wasn't looked after properly as they grew up, right? And the parent is meant to be the gatekeeper. And if because of abuse, because of addiction, because of kind of endless things, they didn't get those needs met, it almost leaves this hole in somebody's connection. And then high multidimensional interference can take ownership. So you can have a lot of things like that. So again, you could argue with the wrong person per se. Yes, you could. And I always say, if you make someone mad, you don't worry about the person, you worry about what's attached to them. And it won't be Leviathan. Oh my God, it will be other things that create the hugest deregulation. So there's a lot more to entity interference than that. Please understand, it's not, when people come on and they just say it's this one entity, oh my God, there's thousands of different types. Well, not thousands of different types, but there's lots of different types. And they all create restriction in a different way, but there has to be this engagement on your behalf to have that opening, to have things, affect you. So no, not just one. What's the next one?
These are 3 dreams that you should consider warnings. Number 1, if you dream of any type of animal biting you, like legit, it doesn't matter what type of animal, it doesn't matter who's in the dream, it doesn't matter where you got bit. This is a warning dream. But usually it's somebody that's going to stab you in the back, somebody that's betraying you or lying to you in some type of way. And before we...
Okay, there's a lot more to dreams than just that, so I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but she's got another 2 that she's going to say what the meaning of dreams are.
Get into number 2. My dream interpretations guide has over 100 different dream interpretations in it. The basic meaning and the spiritual meaning. So you can go to my bio and find that. The information will be on the screen. But number 2, any dream where you're eating, it doesn't matter what you're eating, any of that, take that as a warning to something that may occur in your waking life. And when I say waking life, your regular life, Number 3 is technically a rare dream, even though I've had this dream at least once or twice before. But, I'm me and you're you. But if you dream and you are told to wake up, or you hear something say wake up, wake the fuck up. I don't care what's going on. Shake yourself awake. Do you hear me? But anyway, I got like 100 videos.
Okay. No. So far, anytime you're eating in a dream, and it means... Okay, dreams. Let's talk about dreams. It really depends on what state of brain re-regulation you're in as to what a dream means. It's not as simple as you don't just buy a book and it has all these interpretations around dreams. Occasionally it's interesting. There might be some symbolism that's true. I'm not saying that that's not the case. But when we go to sleep at night, we will have these kind of connection or reconnection points. And it's called astral travel, right? And at a certain point, our brain, our subconscious will process the day's events. And it kind of works out what's important to keep and what's not. If you dream in that state, it doesn't mean anything. It's kind of just mundane. It's like your brain's doing housekeeping, let's call it that, right? And you're kind of just going through the day's events. But if you then dream in another state, so then there's another reconnection state where we reconnect with our higher spiritual guidance to receive directive from the next day. If we dream in that state, it's a message. It means a lot. There can be a lot of symbolism held in dreams. So you can also do that. Or sometimes, you might have insecurities that come through. So again, there could be something that happened in the day, but it's kind of going back to the unconscious and maybe kind of programs or lack responses and all of these things that you got going. So there could be kind of an interplay with those things. But it wouldn't be like one type, like, hey, if an animal bite you, it means this and this is going to happen. It doesn't work that way. The one thing she did say that I will say 100%, not the wake up, sorry, she didn't say it. If you get spoken to as you're waking in the morning in a dream, pay attention. That space between dream and wake is really significant. Your brain is in a higher state. It's the state that's the closest to kind of that spiritual alignment, or the state that you would go into if you, like did the high meditations. And it's a message. So if you receive any messages upon waking, write it down, honestly. And if you've got gifts and skills to do healing work, I would go and look at that because it's significant. It's almost like something you're not paying attention to. It's a spiritual kind of message that holds a lot of information. So that's really significant. If you have a dream that is a repeat and potentially a scary dream, but it's the same dream over and over on a cycle, I have a lot of clients that will say they've had this dream from childhood. Significant, has a lot of meaning. Entity interference can cause a huge deregulation in that nighttime re-regulation like state of sleeping. Even negative astral travel, you can have a lot of dark energy, dark entity interferences come in, and it can actually stop you reconnecting to your high spiritual guidance. Anything that's kind of you're half awake is not really a dream. So you might have sleep paralysis, right? Again, you can have a lot of entity interference creating that for somebody. You can't transition back from a sleep state. So you might do kind of like, how people will have those, they almost like a dreaming, but they're awake. Children can have it, even night terrors. So you can have a lot of entity interference involved with that brain transition and that kind of transitioning back to your body. Interference, or like even dreams that kind of feel like you're maybe engaging with somebody else in like a sexual manner, but it's like you're half awake or it's really real. Often that is also not really a dream. It's actually an interference even to your physicality. And so again, that can hold a lot of entity interference in that. So please know, dreams, sure, they can be important. Depends what state you're in and when you're dreaming. Anything to do with, the same reoccurring entity interference, terrifying dreams, they are always really kind of really symbolic. They can kind of showcase that you've got a lot of, interference. So anyway, that was this episode of Reactions. I would love to hear your thoughts or your comments on those reels, or if there's any questions that you want to know about, the spiritual or those things, please drop them in the comments, and then potentially, I can add it to another episode that I'm doing around the truth behind entity interference. Thanks.